Hi everyone, welcome back to my Flosstube. My name is Rachel and this is Lemonade Stitching, and today is my September 2025 wrap up. So in today's Flosstube, I'm going to be going through all of the cross stitch that I worked on in September. I'm also going to be talking about the Harvest Moon Hangout, which was a virtual event hosted by Stephanie from Lindy Stitches. And I've got some other crafts that I did this month as well that I'm going to share with you guys at the end. So for me, September was all about my samplers. I was really trying to lean into Sampler September this year, and that was my main focus. So I'm just going to jump in and show you guys all the different samplers that I worked on throughout the month. Before we talk about all the projects I've been working on, we should probably talk about this little gallery wall that we've got going on behind me. So as some of you may know, if you've watched my videos before, I film in my guest room, and normally this wall is blank and ugly and boring. But I finally started hanging up some of my finished projects. I bought 5 custom frames back in July. I ordered them from Frames USA in one of my little crafty vlogs. And I finally FFO'd all the projects for those frames. So I'll try to insert some footage of me like panning up close to those. But I finally framed those during the Harvest Moon Hangout, and got those up on the wall this past weekend. And then I also added a project that I finished this month that we'll talk about. And then this is a print that I thrifted a year or 2 ago when I moved to Lexington, and this is the same artwork as Birdhouse Garden, the sunset kit that I finished and gifted to my grandma. We stitched on it together. It's a whole thing. If you've been around for a while, I've probably talked your ear off about it, but my grandma had started the kit, I finished it, and now it's hanging in her room. And I thrifted this print of it for like $8. So that's hanging up. The gallery wall is a little lopsided. It's not perfect, but my vision is that it'll be a really chaotic, maximalist, mismatched gallery wall of just like all of my miscellaneous cross stitch that doesn't have a better place to go, and then eventually it'll look purposefully a mess. Right now I think it just looks like I don't know how to hang stuff up, but I'm trusting the process. I'm trusting that it'll all come together and it'll look nicer than it does. So first up, I want to show you guys Love Gains by Modern Folk Embroidery. I put in a ton of stitches on this month, by far the most stitches out of any of the projects that I worked on. I picked it up, I don't know, a couple days into September, and I was just absolutely like obsessed with it. I was so hyper fixated on it, I could not put it down. I've been stitching this piece in hand with Dinky dye silk, so it's just been really, really enjoyable to work on. And I ended up putting in 8,700 stitches to put me at 95% complete. Look at her, she is stunning. I did post some pictures on Instagram before I started putting in the quote, so you may have seen this there, but I switched out the quote for lyrics from a Noah Kahan song called Everywhere Everything. And I am just obsessed with this project. Sorry, it's like blowing from the fan. I should get up and turn that down. But this is just looking absolutely amazing. I'm so excited to have it up on my wall. And I am stitching this on 36 count oyster shell by Fox and Rabbit. And I'm stitching it 1/2 with Mystic Pools Dinky dyes, which is this beautiful purple silk that you see. Like I said, it has been an absolute dream to stitch on. The combination of this linen with the silk and stitching it in hand was just chef's kiss. It was absolutely perfect. I couldn't put it down until I got to the 1/1, and then I was like, yeah, I have no problem putting this down. So I really want to crank out a finish for this in October so that I can hang it up because it's just so beautiful. Another sampler whip that I had going into September was Elizabeth Scorah by My Sister Samplers. I do have a little cover photo for this one. And I started this back in August for my birthday. And I worked on this a little bit at the beginning of September, and then I think I pulled it out like 1 or 2 more times during the Harvest Moon Hangout. It definitely didn't get as much progress as I thought it would this month, but I was just so happy to work on Love Gains that this one kind of took a back burner. But that is okay because I think it's very fall coated, so I think I'm still gonna feel the itch to work on this over the next couple of months. It's just such a stunning sampler. This is on 40 count One More Reproduction linen by BeStitchMe, and I'm stitching it 1/2 with the called for Gloriana silk. So this is how it's looking. These two big vases are finally done, and then I kind of have left off where it's time to do the 1/1 stitching on this, but I learned about Tudor silk this month. I learned a little bit about it at the Harvest Moon Hangout, and then also someone else was talking to me about it like separately, coincidentally, but I've heard it's really great. It's like a thinner silk for stitching 1/1 on 40 count. It'll be much more enjoyable than stitching with the normal silk. So I'm interested to try that and see if it's more enjoyable than the 1/1 on Love Gains, because that has been tough. So once I put some progress in on both of those samplers, I was really itching to have some new starts. I have a bunch of samplers in stash that I wanted to work on, and I had already kind of started pulling colors in for them, but I was saving them for September because I was like, I've got to start them for sampler September. So the first one I started and finished was the Tin Topper ABC sampler. You may have seen this on my Instagram or in my recent vlog that I posted mid-September, but I made this adorable hot pink stitchy case with little alphabet sampler on top, and I am absolutely obsessed. So this is how it turned out, and I'll give you guys the details really quick, but if you're interested in hearing more about the stitchy case, I have a whole video just dedicated to this project, how I made this, and all the details. But really quick, I forgot to take the pattern out of the bag. This is what the pattern looked like. I got it secondhand off the freebie table at StitchCon. I assume you can find these on eBay or something similar on Etsy. And then I stitched it with Ruby Cottage Garden threads, which is just a hot pink. And I think this is 32 count linen, and yeah, 32 count linen. I just mounted it on the top of a little tin, and it keeps all my little travel stitching notions in here so that I have everything I need on the go. So the next one I actually had to take off of the wall because I was able to start, finish, and FFO this. But that is the Stitcher, which is another chart that I picked up at StitchCon on the freebie table. And I think I talked about this in a video earlier this summer, but I saw that and was inspired to use this green gradient that my friends picked up for me at Stitch North with some Roxy Floss. I just thought that would be like a fun little play because this is all in like brown, so I thought these would translate well. And I think it came out really, really good. So this is how it turned out. It's a little bit of an odd size, but I really wanted it hung up, so I just stuck it in this super cheap 8x10, like one of those snap in from the front frames, just so I can at least get it up on the wall. I did lacing, so it'll be easy to undo and reframe later in the future if I decide to. But this is how it looks, and I'll have to turn the camera around so you guys can get a close-up of this one, because there's a lot of like specialty details. So I'll start over here and just kind of talk about it. So it's got a 99 in the corner because I was born in 1999. And then we've got a woman sewing with her little cat under her chair. And then all of the buttons on here I actually got secondhand at the local Creative Reuse. So I've got a set of buttons here. And then it's got a couple other buttons scattered throughout the sampler side. These scissor charms up here at the top, I was able to find that at Stitch Therapy, my local LNS. And then it's got some satin stitch details, just like little motifs on here. And then it had me make like a little skein of floss. So I really like this one. I obviously am not including glass on this frame because there's a lot going on the top of this. But it's really, really sweet, and the verse on this says, "When I was young and in my prime, here you may see how I spent my time. which I think is really fitting because I am young. I hope I'm in my prime. And this is exactly how I spend my time, sitting and sewing with my cat. So I really love this. I was so happy when I was able to find this scissor charm because the one that's called for in the pattern obviously is out of stock because this pattern is from like the 80s or 90s. And it does include like charted scissors that I could have just stitched on, but I really wanted a charm, you know, something 3D, something metallic, and I think it just came out really, really nice. So I was happy to find that. I was happy to find this green button here that I put between the R and the S. The rest of them were like a pearly white, but I was happy to find a green one to kind of tie in all the greens. And overall, I'm just really happy with how this came out. I think it's a 32 count, but I didn't check the linen. I knew it would be big enough. I'm pretty sure it's a 32 count, but I didn't actually double check. So yeah, so I'm gonna pop this back up on the wall, but I'm really, really excited to have this one done and framed and added to this messy, chaotic gallery that I've got going on. Now, obviously I couldn't stop there. I had to start one more sampler. This wasn't the last one I kitted up, but it was the last one that got started in September. And this one, spoiler alert, is a gift. So I don't think this person watches my videos. But if you're my dad, look away. But I highly doubt my dad is watching this Flosstube. So if you're gonna see my dad, Mom, just either look away or don't tell him. But I picked this heart in hand little sampler at Stitch Therapy the first time I went, and this is what it looks like, but it's called Pocket Sampler Dad, and it had the charm included and everything. It was $1 for this teeny little sampler, and I was like, what a cute little gift that would make. So I picked it up, charted it up real fast, and I was able to get this done in September. So this is how it came out. It's about a 3-inch square. It's super, super tiny, but I love it. It was really, really fun to stitch. All of these are specialty stitches. So the two like pillars on the sides are cross stitches, but then all the middle bands in the center are different specialty stitches. So it's really fun to learn those. And I just pulled from Stash for this. I stuck with this like blue and gold color scheme. Oh my gosh. Stuck with the blue and gold color scheme, and I used mostly color and cottons, I think, actually, that I had in Stash. So that is how that came out. Now I just need to keep my eye out on a cute little square frame. I did put it on this giant piece of fabric just in case I find a slightly larger frame and want to do like some matting or something, but kept my options open there. This is a 32 count taupe Lugana that I've used for, it feels like 100 things at this point. I still have a good sized piece left, so something else will be going on it eventually again. Okay, like I said, I did kit up a couple more samplers to start and work on throughout September, but those took up the majority of my stitching time. However, I did have a couple fall starts or non-sampler starts because of the Harvest Moon Hangout, which was this month's virtual event hosted by Lindy Stitches, Stephanie and her team. It was a great time. It was a little smaller than some of her other virtual events, but it was still great to get on and hang out with Stitchers. I didn't socialize as much as I thought I would. When it came time for the weekend to start, I think I was just kind of in an introverted mood, so I didn't socialize as much as I have in years past, but I still had a good time. I was still able to attend, and I got to do the project bag class and create an amazing project bag, which I meant to bring up here. Seems like I forgot it, so I'll just have to put in a picture. This was a class led by Carrie from Tiger Lily Designs, so I got to learn how to do foundation paper piecing and practice my binding. I think my bag looks really good if you don't look too closely and you don't look at the back, because there was some binding snafus, there were some issues with my bobbin and trying to thread a new bobbin, and it was just a whole thing. But in the end, I got the bag done within the weekend, and now it houses my new fall projects. So the first project I started is called Spooky Haunted House, and this is by PocketMamaShop or Sarah Ann on Flosstube. I am obsessed with her Flosstube. I love watching her videos. I love chatting with her and interacting with her. She's awesome, and I was on her live stream when she was FFOing this before she released it, and I instantly fell in love. I wanted to do it on purple like she stitched the model, but I just couldn't find the perfect color in stash, and I was eager to start it. So I ended up finding a piece of 36 count brown sugar by Fiber on a Whim, and my scrap that I have has a very green section. And so I decided to use this because it kind of looks like a murky swamp in person. I think it's hard to tell on the camera, but it looks just very like yucky. Very green, very yucky, which I feel like fits the bill for this haunted house. So I decided to go with this, and I actually started from the bottom center so that I could place it on the green right where I wanted it. I've got plenty of fabric to work with, so that was not a concern. And so this is as far as I got. I started this on the Friday of Harvest Moon Hangout, and I have not picked it up since. I stitched on this that weekend, and then I put it down until October when it was time for my like Halloween and fall theme stitching to come out. So that is Spooky Haunted House. Not too much progress yet, but it's not a huge pattern, so hopefully you'll see more progress on that in my next Flosstube update. I had one other start during that weekend, and that was Harvest Tiny Town. This is by Heart and Hand. And I started this with Maddie of Kitty Stitch, and I think Cam started this as well from Cam the Stitcher, but I know she was kind of off and on of the virtual event too, so I didn't ask her if she actually ended up starting this, but I know Maddie was there when I started this, so we started this together. I did a center start because I had this big scrap of 40 count flax, which is just a plain linen. And I didn't really feel like counting. Like I knew it would fit, but I didn't really feel like doing the margin math, so I just decided this whole scrap was gonna be for the Harvest Tiny Town. So here is the overview, but we can zoom right into the middle where my actual stitching is. My little house. And that's, again, as far as I got. I wasn't really liking stitching on super tiny linen sitting at my desk in the dark. So I wanted to finish the house, but I did not. And I am stitching Harvest Tiny Town with all of the called for floss. And like I said, this is 40 count flax linen. I don't think I have anything else to say about that for right now. I did accidentally buy the wrong Tiny Town though when I went to buy this. So I now have Thankful Tiny Town in stash to work on when this is done, because they look somewhat similar and I wasn't paying close enough attention when I was at the LNS picking that up. And so I had to go 2 days in a row, darn, to buy the correct chart so that I could start with Maddie. I did buy a couple things at the Harvest Moon Hangout. All the patterns were so cute, but none of them were speaking to me so badly that I needed to buy them. But one thing that I did have my heart set on was the Gloriana thread pack. So I did splurge and get the fall Gloriana thread pack that they had in the shop at Harvest Moon Hangout. So I haven't even opened it yet, but it's got 3 colors of Gloriana silk. We've got Schoolhouse Red. I guess I could just open these because I don't know what other colors are in here. Got Schoolhouse Red, Pumpkin, which is this beautiful like golden color, Almond, which is a cream off-white, and Hazelnut Dark, which is a beautiful chocolate brown. So I am loving this autumn palette. I want to find the perfect project to use these on because they are stunning. I hate for myself that I am getting into the silk world because I cannot afford to just want to stitch in silk all the time, but I decided to splurge for the event, and I don't really need a reason other than I did. So I did buy these, but I didn't want them to travel alone, obviously. So I bought one pattern because I also was like, I want to buy a fall pattern, but like I said, none of the exclusives were speaking to me. So I got Midnight Watch by Blackbird Designs because it was in the shop. And I love it. Somebody has been stitching on this. I think it's Pansy Stitches. Abby, is that Abby? Abby? I'm having a moment, so I apologize. But she has been stitching on this, and I feel like I saw someone else post this on Facebook, Instagram. I'm losing my mind. It's Friday at like 3 o'clock when I'm filming this, so my brain is mush. But I feel like I saw her and a couple other people post on Instagram about stitching this. And this is one of those patterns that I didn't really care for when I first saw it, but every time I look at it since, I like it a little more. So I added this to stash along with the Glorianas. My favorite part of Harvest Moon Hangout was definitely getting to listen to the Gloriana behind the silk like interview meet and greet thing that they did. It was so fun. I can't remember the woman's name behind Gloriana, but she was a hoot. She knows so much. It was so interesting to listen to her, and she's so precious, and I want her to move in with me and just teach me all her ways. I think that's everything as far as stitching goes. I ended up stitching a total of 14,585 stitches, which was insane. And I worked on 7 different projects throughout the month. I had 2 FFOs, 5 new starts. So I was a busy girl, but something I haven't told you guys is I didn't stitch the last 10 days of the month. Like literally, I'll see if I can pull up my stitching tracker. The last 10 days of September, or I guess it's only a week. Mostly the last 10 days are literally blank. I did not stitch. And you might be like, Rachel, what were you doing? And I'll tell you, I was knitting. This happened last fall too. I just, with the cool weather and just the fall cozy vibes and influence from my friends and social media, I knit a pair of socks last fall, and then I cast on a second pair and didn't touch them for a whole year. And I think I mentioned in my last video that I was kind of interested in getting back into it, and knitting bug bit me hard the last week of the month. I also had just been stitching so much every day on these projects, especially on Love Gains, that I was ready for something different. So I full swing jumped into knitting and did not look back for a week and a half. So first things first, I had to finish my sock that I showed you guys last time. So this is the Vanilla Sock by Crazy Sock Lady. I've just got it on a sock blocker right now. It's not like officially blocked. I haven't wet blocked it, but I just put it on here so it's easy to show you. This is the Malabrigo sock yarn in the color fuchsia. It's okay. It's not my best work. I think my socks that I made last year came out way better, but I'm happy to have it done. So happy with that, I guess. And then after that, I cast it on 2 projects. First of which being the Sophie shawl. If you are at all into the knitting online community or knitting TikTok or knitting YouTube or any of that, you probably have seen a lot of talk about the Sophie scarf by Petite Knit. And the Sophie shawl is just essentially a big version of the Sophie scarf. So I stitched it in this dark red color. This is the size medium, and I used just craft store yarn, honestly. I went to Michael's. I didn't want to spend a ton of money on these 2 projects because I wasn't sure if I would stick with it and finish them. So this shawl is the Loops and Threads Luxe Merino wool blend in the color Rhubarb. So it's just from Michael's, and it is 55% merino wool, or 55% superwash merino and 45% acrylic. It's not as soft as it originally felt, but I did wet block it last night and it is a little better after that. But I originally wanted to do a really, really huge chunky version of this, like in the cover photo, but I didn't do a gauge swatch or anything, and it's a little like thinner, the material is, than I was expecting it to be, and it wasn't like that big long scarf. So I decided to only do the medium because the only difference was how many decreases or increases and decreases I was doing. So I was like, I'll just save the larger size for when I have a softer, heavier yarn that I am more in love with, because this was kind of a practice project. So happy with that. And I made a little project bag for it. I followed Elizabeth Ann's tutorial. She has a vlog. Oof, I don't even know how old this particular vlog is, but she has like drawstring project bag in the title of it, and she walks through how to make this drawstring project bag. So I followed that one night, and I made this one for my Sophie shawl, which actually doesn't need to go in there anymore because it's all done. And then I made this one for my other project that I cast on, and this is the Sabai top, and I started talking about knitting without pulling up Ravelry or anything, so I don't know who this is by. So I'll just put up a picture of the pattern, and I'll try to link it down below to my Ravelry and the project pages for these. But this, again, I saw on TikTok and instantly was like, yep, that's what I'm gonna knit. I'm gonna do that. And like with the shawl, I didn't want to go buy really expensive yarn and then never finish it. So I was looking for a craft store option. So I ended up getting the Loops and Threads Heathered Bamboo, which is a acrylic bamboo blend. This is what it looks like. And this yarn is super soft. I was getting a little overwhelmed looking at all the different like fibers and stuff online, so you can tell me if this is a bad choice. But this yarn is super, super soft. It was affordable. I don't know. I didn't look at the actual price, but it was at Michael's, so it was more affordable than if I had gone to the yarn store. And this is the color Denim, so it's like a blue and white heathered color. And this is my top so far. So this is the front panel. They're not connected yet, but this is the front panel, and it's got like a rolled boat neck, and then this is the back panel. I have about 7 more repeats before I join in the round and start knitting the body, and then hopefully I will fly through this once I get to the body. Knitting this whole part flat has been exhausting. I hate purling, and I keep changing my purling strategy, which is probably horrible for my tension, but whatever, I don't care. It's my first project. But yeah, so about 7 more repeats and I join in the body, and hopefully this will be done. This is really heavy. I was not expecting this yarn to be so heavy, which like holding it now, I'm like, yeah, it's heavy. It's a heavy yarn, but like knitting it up, I'm like, this is a hefty shirt. Like it's gonna weigh me down. But I wanted a yarn that was a little heavier because I want to be able to wear this in the winter. My office, walking into work is like, because I don't get to park right next to my building, so I get hot and sweaty when I'm up walking in and out of work, but then I get cold in my office and whatever in layers. So I either want to be able to wear it under a cardigan or a sweatshirt, or wear it over a long sleeve turtleneck something. And it's so heavy, I feel like it'll be warm enough for that even in the winter. So hopefully it fits, but this is what we're looking like so far. Obviously there's imperfections and things that I wish were different, or just better, I guess, but I'm not stressing about it too much because again, this is budget yarn, my first big project, and I'm just gonna let it be and learn from it and be happy about it. I've enjoyed the process of knitting so far. I only had to cast this on one time. That was, I think, my biggest feat of doing this and really set me up for success, is I only had to cast on this project 1 time. And when I cast on this sock, I had to cast it on 8 times. So that was crazy. I was really happy, really just put me in a good mood when that happened. So this is my Sabai top. Hopefully next time I see you, it's almost done, if not all the way done, and maybe I'll be wearing it for the video. Who knows? So as far as October plans for cross stitching, I have a few projects on my list that I want to make sure I work on or finish or whatever. So first up, I've got Apothecary Shop by the Witchy Stitcher. This I adopted from Cam of Cam the Stitcher, and I am pretty close to being done with this. It's about 50% of the way done, so it should be an easy finish. It's all 310, and yeah, I'm excited to just have this finished and added to my little chaos back here. I also want to work on Harvest Tiny Town some more and the Spooky Haunted House, which were both of my new starts this past month. I would love to finish Love Gains. Like I said, there's only like 600 stitches left, so I just need to push through and do those. And then I want to FFO Autumn in the City. I UFO'd this big sampler earlier this year, and I want to turn the top portion, I think, into a drum. I have some really cute orange corduroy fabric that I got at the reuse store, and I think this would be a great first drum to practice on, but we'll see how that turns out. This month is going to be busy. I say this all the time, like, I don't know how much stitching time I'll have, and then I stitch a crap ton. But the next 2 weeks, today I'm filming this on Friday the 3rd, and I am officially 2 weeks away from my wedding. So I will be getting married on Friday, October 17th. So in the next 2 weeks, I have a lot to finish up to just get ready for the wedding and make sure we have all the last minute stuff done. I need to get schoolwork done because we're leaving right from the wedding to go on a honeymoon, and I really don't want to be doing homework on my honeymoon. One of my professors is being a lot nicer about it than the other, so we'll see. We might just, you know, have to do it anyway, but either way, I want to have most of the work done ahead of that trip so that I can focus on just spending time with Graham on our honeymoon and exploring and doing crafts and whatnot. We're doing a little mountain cabin getaway, and his hobby is playing video games, which goes really well with my crafts. So we just want to have a week of, you know, spending time together and not worrying about real life. So I don't know how much I'll get done in the next 2 weeks, but hopefully with having a week off for the wedding and honeymoon, it'll all kind of even out. But I have my second class of the semester starting, so for the past month and a half, I've only been taking 1 class, and then starting in like 4 days, I'll have 2 classes worth of work to do. So things are going to pick up, and we'll see if the crafts stay at the same rate that they've been going at, but I am not sure that they will. But oh well, it's okay. Well, you guys, that finishes up all of the crafty talk that I have for today. I feel like every video I say this, but it's so true, because in the month between videos, I somehow forget how to talk, forget how to hold up my projects, forget how a video works. So I apologize if this video is extra choppy. I have no sense of how long this turned out to be, or if it made logical sense when I was flowing through it. So we'll just have to wait to find out. But anyway, thank you again for watching. If there's any projects that I didn't give enough details about, please let me know. I'm happy to answer any questions or just yap about cross stitch, because it is my first love. But I will leave you all there. I hope you have a great month ahead. I won't see you until I'm officially married, which is exciting. Hopefully I've got some fun photos and projects and stuff to share with you at the end of October. But happy stitching, and I will see you in my next video.